Welcome to part 7 of the Shantae commentary. One of the longest dungeons is finally out of the way. We got some more power-ups thanks to the transformations. More fireflies, all that jazz. Now we're heading back to another warp hunt. Or hut. To deliver more squids.
So we gave the orange babies to the blue squid. Now we're giving the blue ones to the orange squid.
They're complementary colors, don't you know?
These are going to be some seriously confused babies when the two families, go for a meet and greet together.
A meet and greet / family reunion. And now we have a warp back to the water town.
And now both of the daddy warp squids are going to be like, why do our babies have your hair color? And it's going to be awkward.
Holy brighter palette, Batman.
Oh my god. Oh, what is... Ugh.
Is that
Okay, so
double?
apparently we're being attacked by... We're in the TV world now because we're being attacked by shadows.
Oddly enough, I'm the Persona dude, and my first thought was Double from Skullgirls. Don't ask me why.
Oh, I haven't played Skullgirls, so...
She's basically a blob.
Okay.
And she takes the shapes of other characters and uses their moves.
So she's the
clone character.
A clone character, yeah.
She's more of a mix and match of different moves from different characters.
Like a Shang Tsung?
She doesn't have any well, I don't play Mortal Kombat, so I don't know. She doesn't have any one fighting style. She just uses moves from different characters. I think her only unique move is her throw, in which she turns into a giant hand and eats you with a mouth in her palm.
So you have to use the float muffin to get past that thing, right?
Yes, or the harpy if you want to wait it out.
Okay, because I was looking at that, and that's something that you would use the monkey's bullet attack thing for in the sequel. So,
is it an air dash, or is it just a dash?
Yeah, kind of like an air dash
that you can use infinitely in the air.
No, just when you're hanging on.
You just go until you hit something.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so it's a straight line.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, you might be wondering, hey, what happened to the color palette, John? Yeah. This is what happens when you plug in Shantae into a Game Boy Advance. The color palette gets lighter, I'm guessing to compensate for the dark screen.
Yeah.
I don't know why they didn't do that for the Game Boy Color. But there's also another reason why you would do it. You can get an exclusive transformation if you plug in Shantae in the Game Boy Advance. The Tinkerbat transformation. Which is what we're going to get when we get to the next town.
Which you can't get in the 3DS version, so...
Unfortunately not.
So how do you plug in the Shantae to a Game Boy Advance in the emulator?
You plug it into a Virtual Boy Advance.
Okay. Well, but he had the normal color palette before this, and I assume you didn't switch emulators partly through a playthrough.
No, Visual Boy Advance has options that you can set up. Pretty much what mode do you want to run the emulator on?
Yeah, it has. When you go into the file, it'll say run Game Boy Advance, run Game Boy Color, run Game Boy. So you pick a different one, and that's the mode that the emulator is going to run on when you play the game.
Yeah. So if you run Shantae under the Game Boy Advance settings, it'll act as if you're plugging it into a Game Boy Advance.
Okay.
So, in essence, the Tinkerbat transformation, if you want to get this on a legitimate cart, will cost you $300. Because you cannot get the Tinkerbat transformation in the 3DS shop version, as Ryan mentioned, because it's impossible to activate that programming.
Because they were idiots when they ported it.
Well, Shantae was one of the most highly requested Game Boy Color Virtual Console titles ever since they announced that they were going to be doing Game Boy Color Virtual Console titles. And it took a while for them to put it on. It's only been up for about a year, and why aren't you killing those guys?
I can't attack them as a spider. I have to transform out of it first.
Okay. But, yeah, it took them a while to get it up there, so I guess they had to swap, getting it up versus doing a bunch of extra programming to get the Tinkerbat thing back, I guess. I'm not really sure.
It's not like you need it, but...
You don't, but damn is it convenient.
Well, here's the... I don't think it would have taken extra programming so much as just running it as a different kind of ROM on a different kind of emulator.
Well, Nintendo they would have probably had to make a Game Boy Advance emulator because Nintendo probably only has the Game Boy Color one open to third parties. And I know.
I don't know why, because the Ambassador program gives you Game Boy Advance games.
Yeah, but those weren't really. Those were their own like special, unique programs. I don't think that they have like a mass-produced emulator for Game Boy Advance stuff on the 3DS at this point. There could be a Wii U port of Shantae with the Tinkerbat transformation.
I'm not a programmer, but I don't. Just programming the Game Boy Advance coding in there, I don't think that doesn't sound expensive.
I'm not really sure how it would work. It might be harder than we think it might be. I'm not really sure. Advanced genies.
Well, is the Tinkerbat transformation Advance exclusive because they wanted people to have a Game Boy Advance, or is it because it's more hardware intensive?
More like it was. I'm just guessing here, but more like they knew this game was going to be released a year after the Game Boy Advance was already out. So kids probably already shifted back to the Advance, and they wanted to give them a reason to buy a Game Boy Color game.
Okay.
So they give you this Tinkerbat transformation, which I just showed off there. Now, why is it so fucking awesome? Because it's like 3 transformations in one.
I wonder who this is.
This is a genie.
Of course.
The Tinkerbat is the monkey, the elephant, and the spider combined. It can climb walls like the monkey, it can climb background layers like a spider, and it can ram things like the elephant.
What happens if you go to that room when you're playing on the virtual console or on
I
the Game Boy?
believe he ignores you.
He just says you can't access it.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're just gonna spend the rest of the game in the okay, you're just gonna spend most of the game as the Tinkerbat now, aren't you?
Yes, because it's a really awesome transformation. Definitely. I mean, it's not only just the 3 forms combined, it also has its own attack. You know, that has that sword attack, which I think is pretty decent.
Well, it can't be that much worse than the hair flip.
Not as delayed, definitely. Has a wider arc, too.
A wider arc, but maybe not as much length.
No. Now I'm back to Game Boy Color technology. That's a rocking tan Shantae's got there.
So you're not gonna use the Tinkerbat? Oh, well.
Wait, you can use the Tinkerbat on Game Boy Color technology, but...
Once you save the game, because you've technically unlocked it.
Yeah.
But,
It's a bonus.
So you could hack the Game Boy Color version and just play that.
Yeah, I guess you could.
It probably would have been the tiniest of hack edits.
Yeah, all you'd have to do is remove the tag that needs to check for whether you're playing it on a Game Boy Advance or not. Like, that's like a on-disc DLC download, sort of.
But that might, and again, probably talking about my ass, because remember, it's not just the Tinkerbat transformation that activates when you plug it into a Game Boy Advance. The color palette also gets lighter. And as a result, some things look a little washed out when you're playing it on a backlit screen. So, if one flag is raised but one is not, that could potentially soft lock the game.
I guess.
Again, I'm talking out of my ass here. I'm just assuming.
No, I think all you'd need to do is
Well, I think John actually has a point. The color palette might get screwed up on a Game Boy if it was one value in the programming that controlled both things. And if that was the case, it would take a lot more. It would take a lot more fixing to make one happen and the other not.
Well, I think all you'd have to do with the programming for that guy is remove the programming thing that says you need to be in a Game Boy Advance mode for that, or something. I don't know. Again, I can't program either, so. Okay, are we just gonna see the Tinkerbat go? For the rest of the
that's his default running animation.
Yeah.
Do you still play as him even during like boss fights and stuff, or do you go back to normal?
I think I go back to Shantae for that. because the boss
Our
fight,
hero, the Tinkerbat.
the boss fight in this dungeon requires the Harpy transformation.
Okay.
So no, technically no, I'm not playing as Shantae, I'm playing as Harpy.
Now I think the Tinkerbat's also going to be a transformation half-genie hero exclusive for people who back the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Hold on. I have the Kickstarter page open, so I can check. Oh no, wait! You get the Tinkerbat transformation if you've pledged at least $55 for the Kickstarter.
Looks like I'm not getting my Tinkerbat then.
Oh, you pledged.
I pledged the 20.
Oh, okay.
I think that's the soundtrack and the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically. I think at least the digital soundtrack.
Well, I'm putting it in my iPod anyway, so it doesn't matter if
Yeah,
it's digital.
25 is the digital soundtrack. If you want the physical soundtrack, you need to pledge at least 75, which is a lot. I can't blame you for that.
Well, it'll probably just be a way to play the game differently, because I doubt they'll make it necessary in any way.
Well, I would imagine it would probably work similarly to how it has here, where it's not like anything specifically new or like game. It's just a convenience thing where you don't have to keep on switching between forms all the time.
Do you think though, because say those exclusive transformations that pledgers can get if they donate a certain amount, would they make that DLC?
It would probably be like a DLC. Yeah, probably that you get like a free code for. Because there's also a couple of other things you get for backer exclusive, like a Shantae costume, a costume for Risky Boots that puts her in her original red and black color scheme.
Yeah.
And an exclusive weapon from some other Kickstarter game that I'm not entirely familiar with. So it's free. It says free DLC. So you'll get probably a backer code or something. And
yeah. Well, backers will get a code. I was more talking about when the game is finally published, all said and done. And say that some person that didn't pledge the right amount of money before can get that Tinkerbat costume via paid DLC. Do you think they'll do that?
It says
probably.
Exclusive. It says exclusive, so I maybe not. It would be kind of. Well, I mean, I can imagine them both doing it and not doing it. I guess is the way I imagine it.
I don't see why they wouldn't do it.
Well, I guess some of the backers might feel cheated if it was an exclusive thing, but I'm all for. That's the one thing about Kickstarter campaigns that I'm kind of about is like giving you an extra thing that you can only get if you manage to back it, because you might not have heard about this Kickstarter before you bought the game on like a digital store or something, and then there's some part of the content that you'll never be able to get. I'm not too fan of that sort of aspect of the system.
Yeah,
but,
I agree.
But I don't know. I guess it's just there's no there's no easy answer. I suppose the thing I'm trying to say. And I assume you have to make the puzzle match in order to get the key.
You have to make the picture completed of whatever they want you to form in a specific room. It changes each room. And before that, though, you have to destroy a boss that's destroy like a mini boss that's encapsulated in ice. With the Tinkerbat transformation or the elephant transformation, I recommend going after the rock golem, which goes down in one dash. And since Tinkerbat's log attack is the equivalent of an elephant dash, it's really quick to kill it with the Tinkerbat. Or, you can just die in a spike pit.
Death by spike pit is always a viable option.
No. No. Were you asked about to say something, Ted?
When you reload a save, you start with 4 lives every time, right?
4 or 3. One of those two.
Does 0 count as a life?
Yes.
I think so, yes.
Okay. I wouldn't be surprised if it was 4, because then you get 5 lives.
Then why not just make it 5 and not have 0 count?
Because 0's supposed to count. It makes
Zero counts as an intent programming.
No, bullshit. It wasn't like that in Mario Brothers.
I like it when 0 counts, because then it makes sense, because the counter is how many extra lives you have. If you have 0 extra lives, that means that's your last one. If you have 1 extra life, that means you can die 1 more time.
Yeah, but if you have 0 lives, the game essentially is calling you a nobody. You fucking loser.
Oh, I'm a nobody. I have my heart. It's
have
cold
emotions
and
too?
black and tiny and 3 sizes too small, but I have it.
Okay, so now we're gonna get into higher drill in action. We have to use these.
Isn't there a Sonic level that has these?
Well, there are launcher pods in certain levels that launch you in exactly one direction, but I think these are controlled.
Because I remember seeing these in some other game, and that getting into that room looks a little bit tough.
Well, it's just it's sort of luck based because I was holding down left the exact same way I was in the other two fuck ups, and it just decided to okay, we're gonna let this one slide, John. Here you go. Oil Ocean Zone has launch pads that are kind of like that, but you can't control where you go with that. That's automatic.
Yep.
It looks like the Tinkerbat you had it. I know it was counting that ice as a wall, but it looked like he was hugging it. It was like, oh, a monster. It's so cute. Playing the entire game as the Tinkerbat sounds like it's hilarious, though, just due to how expressive the animation is.
No, you'd break the game, though, if you had the Tinkerbat from the bat. Right up. Damn it. I did it again!
Good. Let the pun flow through you.
Throw?
I meant flow. I can't talk.
Threw a pun at him. This vertical shaft is broken up into 2 sections, and each section has 4 rooms. So it's just a matter of going inside the room and then backtracking back to the shaft and then going into the next room. Spikes here, though. Be very careful. Instant kill.
Oh, you're running away from the spikes as soon as you saw them.
Yeah. Tinkerbat's a bitch. I think it is a bit lazy because that running animation is the Tinkerbat normal enemy carrying the log. In in the earlier parts of the game where we saw it doing that, but they just decided to reuse that for a running animation.
So it looks like he's flailing his arms and panicking.
Yeah. Oh damn it! I got the wrong one.
They probably did have to make a few new animations for it because it had a shocking animation like where you could see its skeleton. I don't think that you ever fight a.
Well, it could be a stun animation for whenever you attacked it.
Well, it had like the whole electrocution skeleton thing going on, which I don't think ever happens. Well, wait, hold on. The Storm Puffs do an electricity attack, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well then maybe it is reused.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, I don't ever use Storm Puffs in this playthrough because Storm Puffs are really unreliable. It's like Sheep Man's attack in Mega Man 10.
Yeah, I didn't like using Storm Puffs in Risky's Revenge either, except for like the one time where you had to use one.
Is it just me, or are all these damsels in distress completely identical?
It's actually the same chick. She keeps getting kidnapped.
What?
No, I'm kidding.
No,
I'm kidding.
Okay. I was gonna say.
So now we can fly.
We can fly!
My harpies!
We got the Harpy transformation?
It controls a bit oddly, though.
It has momentum.
Yeah.
Well, it has a lot of